With the lackluster start to the cold season, outdoor ice rinks around the border city have yet to freeze due to the warm weather. The start of December usually doesn't look like this around Lloydminster. However, with the fall conditions, the youth of the city has yet to be able to make it on the outdoor ice.
It's been a lot of years, in very distant memories have we had a very warm start to winter like this. Everyone is antsy to get out and get this outdoor skating surfaces open, as well as our cross-country skiing trails, because they are pushed back as well. As you can see, there is no snow behind me.
With the warmer temperatures, many should understand the potential dangers of getting out on the ice too early.
Say if I didn't remind our community to stay off stormwater retention ponds, especially as you see temperatures fluctuate like this, you might think that the ice is thick on these retention ponds, but they take warm water off our streets and roads through our stormwater system and put it into those water bodies. So there is generally warm water currents underneath.
The underwhelming start to winter must be frustrating for some, but don't get ahead of yourself before jumping on any outdoor ponds or lakes at these times. We often take for granted the education system we have in Canada. In this week's Beyond the Classroom, we take a look at Lloyd Comp High School and how they're home to a few select international students. Students from across the world who are interested in a Western Canada schooling experience can now come to Lloyd Comp as part of a new initiative.
LCHS has started taking international students through YFU and Yes Canada, and it's like an exchange, but we don't have students going to other countries. So we have some students from France and Australia this year. We have 4 young ladies, and they're just having a great time. And they're here mostly for a cultural exchange and just to experience high school in Canada.
For their first experience in Canada, snow and cooler temperatures were big adjustments.
It's been so much fun, even though it hasn't snowed very much, which I'm a bit disappointed about. Even when it has snowed, it's just so magical, and been ice skating as well, watching hockey, it's just the dream.
The students get the ability to compare and contrast how different countries manage their schools.
I really prefer school in Canada for many reasons, but I feel because they are shorter, less homework, and also the teachers are so much fun and so much interested in their student compared to my country.
And that's all for this week's edition of Beyond the Classroom.
At Lakeland College, our students go beyond the classroom for immersive, hands-on learning experiences. It's about experiencing the real world, because the real world doesn't wait, and neither do we.
It is the talk of the town kind of how nice the weather is for this time of year. No snow either. What is the deal with that?
Yes, well, now that you say that, we are expected some snowfall for tomorrow.
Didn't even know.
We're predicted to have some snowfall tonight and into tomorrow, but today was fairly nice out. You know, we had a lot more cloud coverage than sun, but the sun did make an appearance here and there throughout the day, so not too heavy of cloud coverage, which we saw yesterday. Today was fairly nice out. It is +5. Feels like 5 because the wind, for once in the last few months, it's finally calm. So that's definitely nice to see, a nice change. Across the region in Alberta, 5 also out in Marwayne, 3 in Provost, Wainwright, Vermilion, St. Paul, Edmonton, and Bonnyville, 6 out in Cold Lake, 0 in Vegreville, and 2 out in Lac La Biche. And then on the Saskatchewan side, 3 out in Isle Cross, 4 in Pearslin, Meadow Lake, St. Walburg, and in Macklin, 2 in Maidstone, North Battleford, and 5 out in Green Lake. And then overnight tonight in North Battleford, it'll drop down to -1, 17km/h wind, so quite strong, 80% chance of some snow and sleet, and freezing rain later on in the evening. Little to no accumulation, so it won't stick around, but definitely be cautious tomorrow when you go out. It might be quite icy outside on the roads and the sidewalks. And then tomorrow, a 96% chance is when we'll see that accumulation of snow. About 2 to 4 centimeters is predicted to fall. Rain mixed in earlier in the morning, and then it will be quite windy, 22-kilometer-per-hour winds with a daytime high of +2. Overnight tonight in Cold Lake, considerably cloudiness, overcast. Overnight, -5 will be your evening temperature, and a little bit of wind, just about 7 kilometers per hour. And then tomorrow, expect a cloudy day, thick clouds to cover the sky, a high of +1, about a 25% chance that you could see some precipitation in the city, and then 11-kilometer-per-hour winds. Overnight tonight here in Lloydminster, like I said, we're predicted about an 80% chance of about 1 centimeter of snow accumulating overnight tonight. We'll drop down to -2, and that wind will pick up to around 11 kilometers per hour. And then tomorrow, a daytime high of just 1 degree, 15-kilometer-per-hour winds, and then an 80% chance of some snow. A little bit of snow, but it'll be mostly sleet and freezing rain at times in the morning, and then the snow will follow into the afternoon. And it says here little to no accumulation, so it probably will not stick around for very long, but definitely keep some caution when you're going out on the roads. And then over the next 3 days, like I said, 80% chance of some icy mix tomorrow with a low of -9, a high of -2, and a low of -9 for Friday. Partially sunny skies, and then on Saturday, an increase of cloudiness with a high of -3 and a low of -9. And then just to wrap up your first weather forecast, Greg Mercer, thank you so much for continuing to send these gorgeous sunset shots to us. If you'd like to see your weather photo on our show, please email us at weather@stingray.com. As a first look at your evening weather forecast, I'll have your overnight temperatures later on in the show.
The Service Credit Union has paid its yearly profit-sharing revenue to members. Stacey Comer found out more about how much they received this year.
We have a special guest here today on Primetime Local News. Brent Schulmeister, who is the Vice President of Retail Banking with Service Credit Union, is with us. Brent, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Stacey. Appreciate it.
Well, we have some really great news. It's nice to talk about something positive, and the Service Credit Union gave out over $68 million in profit sharing to its members. So can I get you just to explain a little bit about this and the excitement that it must be for members to actually get money back from a credit union?
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, thanks, Stacey. Yeah, it is really exciting. The Service Credit Union was able to share $68.1 million of their profit with our members. Roughly 410,000 of our members participate in the payout this year. We've had a strong 2023 from a growth perspective that obviously provided that another record breaking year in regards to the increase of our ability to share with our members.
And how does this compare to last year?
So I believe off the top of my head, it's about a 10% increase year over year. Which is, given the economy, it's a nice additive for sure.
And so how does it work if you're a member of the Service Credit Union? Does it work on how much you have invested, or is it divided up, I guess, amongst each of the individual members?
Yeah, for sure, Stacey. It's based on obviously a number of parameters, but obviously the more you have with us, the more you would earn. And ultimately, when you look at the breakdown of the $68.1 million, 31.5 of the payout is in a what we call a profit share cash reward to our membership. Sorry, $31.5 million is the amount was paid out in profit share cash rewards. The 29.5 is based on common shares, and then $7.1 million is based on investment shares. And the difference between is when you look at it from a profit share perspective, from the payout, our members are rewarded based on volumes of loans, deposits, investments that they hold with our credit union. And then when you look at it from a common share and investment share perspective, it's based on what they have from an investment perspective with our organization.
So if people would like to become a member of Service and start getting in on the profit sharing for next year, how do they go about doing that?
So great question. We have the province, we have branches right across the province. There's obviously with the advancement of technology, there's digital opportunities to be able to onboard with service. So service.ca is probably a starting point, or one of our branches. I know that from a Lloyd perspective, we've got 2 local branches in the community. So yeah, it's a number of different ways how a member can join our organization.
And I know that this is obviously one of the major benefits of being a member, but what else do you see as a benefit if you are a member of the Service Credit Union? You know, it's obviously the personal service is something that I know that you guys always talk about, and you know they can go into the branch, they get the one-on-one service. So, what are some of the other benefits that you have if you are a member of Service Credit Union?
Yeah, obviously the primary would be our rewards program, and not to discount the part obviously from a personal service perspective. Our mandate, our focus is our members' financial fitness. We truly, when we look at it as a differentiator in regards to service, everybody provides service. Everybody does a fairly significant job in regards to supporting customers or members. In our case, our infatuation is our members' financial fitness. We do what we need to do in regards to supporting our members to gain where they want to be, whether it's looking at that retirement, or they're looking at purchasing their first home. That's what our employees focus on in regards to it. So I think when you look at it really through that lens, it's basically focusing on what's best for our members and doing what's best for them.
Well, it has been a pleasure speaking with you today. And one more time, can you just let us know again what the website is, so people can, even if they want to just take a look and get started before they take that next step, where is the first place to go?
For sure. Yeah, it's service.ca is our website, and obviously lots of different information that they'd be able to uncover through linking into our online banking, or sorry, online services. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. And hopefully we can speak again next year and have a discussion about an even bigger profit share.
The Lloydminster Curling Club is back in the full swing of things, with all of their leagues playing their usual weekly draws leading up to the playoffs in February. Our Thomas Wildman has more.
While it may be warm outside, the Lloydminster Curling Club has all 8 sheets of ice ready for weekly curling action. Tuesday night sees 2 competitive draws hit the ice, with the Mixed League and the Synergy Super League, with everyone being happy to be back on the ice.
That's good. We had the bye the first week of the year, so it was kind of slow start. We came out and practiced, and we had a good go of it. And it's good to always start back with the season in October, and it's the new year, and you're always excited for what's to come.
Team Armstrong ended up with the Synergy Super League Championship last year and are looking good to defend their title, currently sitting at the top of the standings in the league.
We just try to really focus on every shot. You're not going to make everything, but sometimes it's just a matter of managing your misses, and certainly just really mentally trying to focus from end 1 to end 8.
It will be a very exciting year for curlers here in the Border City, with both new and old events headlining a great 2024.
We have that Aztec curling event the second weekend in January. I think there's an opening night starting on the 10th, and then the competition's from the 11th to the 14th, and they've got all the top teams in the world coming out to that, so that's great that the team at Aztec was able to put that together over the last year. And aside from that, we've certainly got, I think, an open doubles glow curling next weekend, and then we've got our regular slate of events for January and February, our junior bonspiel and our men's and our mixed.
Thomas Wildman, Primetime, local news.
Now here's more of our Abby St. John with another look at weather.
Thanks so much, Callan. We're currently sitting at 2 degrees. Feels closer to 1 degrees with that wind chill. We just have a small little bit of wind, 6 kilometers per hour. We saw a fairly nice day out today. The sun did make an appearance here and there, so that was always nice to see. But for the most part, it was quite cloudy. Across the region in Alberta, +2 also out in Edmonton, 1 in Cold Lake, Athabasca and Red Deer, -2 in Whitecourt and Edson. Rocky Mountain House is sitting at +4, and then 0 out in Jasper. And then on the Saskatchewan side, 2 out in Meadow Lake, North Battleford, and Saskatoon, 3 out in Melfort, and 0 out in Prince Albert. If we head up north in Saskatchewan, -2 in Uranium City and Stony Rapids, +2 in La Loche and Buffalo Narrows, 0 in Wollaston Lake and Flin Flon, and -1 out in South End. And then on the Alberta side, +3 out in Fort Mac, -1 in Fort Chipewyan and Slave Lake, 1 out in Peace River and Grand Prairie, and -8 in High Level. And then down south in Alberta, +12 out in Medicine Hat, 8 in Lethbridge, 5 in Calgary, 3 in Coronation, and 0 out in Banff. And on the Saskatchewan side, 2 out in Kindersley and Regina, 7 in Swift Current, 3 in Moose Jaw, 6 in Yorkton, and Estevan is sitting at 9. Overnight tonight in North Battleford will drop down to -1, 17 km/h winds, and an 80% chance of some snow, sleet, freezing rain mixture overnight tonight. And then there's about little to no accumulation overnight tonight, but definitely take caution when you are driving out on the roads tomorrow. Overnight tonight in Cold Lake will drop down to -5. Considerable cloudiness overnight tonight, and that will lead into tomorrow as well. 7 km/h winds, and only about a 25% chance of any precipitation. Overnight tonight across the region, -5 in Meadow Lake, -6 in Bonnyville, -1 in Provost, -9 in Isla Crosse, and -3 out in Paradise Hill. In Provost, there's about a 93% chance of some snow, about 2 to 4 centimeters to accumulate overnight. And then in Paradise Hill, an 80% chance of a little bit of snow as well. And then more overnight temperatures across the region, -4 in Murnum, -5 in Pierceland, -1 in Unity, -2 in Wainwright, and -3 out in Calgary. In Murnum, about a 66% chance of some freezing rain, which will turn into ice later on in the evening. And then in Unity, a 65% chance of a little bit of snow overnight, 93% chance of about 2 to 4 centimeters to fall in Wainwright, and then 2 to 4 centimeters in Calgary as well. Overnight tonight here in Lloydminster will drop down to -2. We are also expected some snow overnight tonight. About 1 centimeter is predicted to accumulate, about an 80% chance that we'll see that, and it will also bleed into tomorrow. About an 86% chance of an icy mixture in the morning, so definitely be cautious about that. High of +1 and a low of -9. And then on Friday, a mix of sun and cloud with a high of -2 and a low of -9. On Saturday, a little bit more, the increase of clouds will start rolling in on Saturday with a high of -3 and a low of -9. On Sunday, a mix of sun and cloud with some wind in the afternoon with a high of 0 and a low of -7. On Monday, to start your week off, we're expecting some very windy conditions, which we're kind of used to by now. So we'll see how that fares for Monday with a high of -1 and a low of -10. High of -1 also on Tuesday, mix of sun and cloud with a low of -5. And then on Wednesday, to round out your week, a mix of sun and cloud as well with a high of +4 and a low of -4. That is a look at your 7-day forecast. We'll have more news coming up after the break.
I'm joined on Primetime Local News today by Constable Kelsey Davidge, and we're going to be talking about road safety over the holiday season. Kelsey, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yes, of course. Thank you for having me.
Well, let's talk about Canada Safe Driving Week. It's an initiative by the RCMP. We have things happening in both Alberta and Saskatchewan. And I want to talk about, first of all, the purpose of this week. Why is it important to highlight a week like this at this time of year?
Yeah, for sure. We do see an increase in impaired driving just kind of across this holiday season with events and Christmas parties and things like that. And impaired driving continues to be a number one priority for RCMP federally across Canada, but especially in Saskatchewan and Alberta, where our residents are. In the first 10 months of 2023, Saskatchewan RCMP found 2,643 drivers who have recently consumed alcohol or drugs on the Saskatchewan roadways. 1,560 of those drivers were charged criminally, while 1,083 drivers received roadside suspensions.
It's crazy to think about those statistics when you hear those numbers, when, there's all kinds of things you could be doing to prevent this from happening. So, what are some tips that you can give to people who may be out celebrating, whether it be staff Christmas parties or just visiting friends over the holiday season? What are some of the things people should consider if they're going to be going out and planning on drinking at these events?
Yeah, if you or your guests, say you're having a party, are consuming products that result in an impairment, which would include alcohol or drugs, we always want you to either have a designated driver or a DD, as we have that little acronym. Stay at that party or stay at a hotel if it's close by. Have a plan or take a cab, use public transit if no safe rides are available. And we always want you to think, if you ever have that question in your mind, if I've had too much to drink to drive, we always keep that rule that you should just stay or use those alternative ways to get home.
Now, what happens if you are out and you happen to see what appears to be an impaired driver? What is really the protocol if you see someone, and what are some of the ways that you can determine that somebody may be impaired if you see them driving on the roads?
Yeah, if you see someone who you believe on the roadway is impaired, we always want you to pull over and call 911. And we always ask when speaking with that dispatcher that you provide as much detail as possible. Things that we are looking for would be the make and model of the vehicle, who was driving, the license plate or color of the vehicle also is very helpful. Ways that you can spot someone who's impaired, some things that you may see on the roadway would be lane drifting, going that vehicle going side to side, that driver even going too fast or too slow, that inconsistent speed, not using proper signals with their turnings or brakes, approaching or leaving intersections too slowly or too quickly, or driving without their lights on or high beams on.
And the other thing that's going to be happening throughout this week, and I'm guessing throughout the holiday season, will be check stops and the high visibility stops. So, what is the importance of this from the RCMP perspective to have the high visibility check stops?
Yeah, so again, we're going to be having this the first couple weeks here of December throughout this holiday season. We always want you to, when approaching these truck stops, to slow down and follow the discretion or the directions of the officers on scene. And again, we thank all the drivers for their patience and the community as we keeping our intentions are to keep that roadway safe throughout this holiday season.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Constable Davidge. We really appreciate you speaking with us. And here's hoping everybody has a safe and happy holiday season.
Yes, thank you.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery, downtown Lloydminster.
We are back with another episode of Healthy Thriving Family After Divorce. Stephanie Dobson is with me once again. Stephanie is a collaborative lawyer, mediator, and educator at Hanka Divorce Law and Mediation here in Lloydminster. And Stephanie, it is the holiday season, and I can't believe that we're talking about Christmas. It seems like it was just Halloween, but we're going to be talking an upcoming series about families who are basically split and have to deal with different things over the holidays, which, as you know, can be tough. So let's get into it, Stephanie, and talk about what we're going to be looking at here over the next few weeks.
Sure. When I was thinking about our series and what we could do for December, I thought I'd break it down into really the stages of separation or divorce so that we could reach as many families as possible. So in our segment today, first, we're going to be talking about families who are still living under one roof, but who may be considering separation or divorce. Next week, we'll be talking about families who have recently split up. So they are likely going through their very first holiday in two separate homes. And then finally, in week 3, we're going to be talking about families who have been split for a while, may have had some successes and some challenges in the past, and want to improve upon those. So much to talk about. So let's get started with, I thought we'd do this in a top 3 tips type of format for today for families considering separation.
Perfect. Okay, well, let's start with tip number 1, which basically is, and this is a tough one, but keeping the household as stress-free as possible.
You're right. That one is a big one. So when parents, really couples or parents are considering a split, there's usually a heightened degree of conflict in the household. This is just the nature of that particular stage of the breakdown of the relationship. It may have been conflict for quite a while, and it's sort of ramping up. It's really leading to what the parents think of as the end of their relationship. However, for the kids, the holiday memories are filled with different things. They're filled with visits with extended families, cousins, planning for Santa's arrival, looking at the Santa tracker, making wish lists and fulfilling others' wish lists, giving and receiving, and other sort of traditions. So no doubt your kids, of course, are going to feel that added stress in the household. The best gift, in my opinion, that you can give to your kids is to reduce or pause that parental conflict and allow them to enjoy their traditions. You can pick back up with things in January and make more long-term decisions at that time. If you and your spouse can't do anything together, and you can't really reduce that conflict, you may want to plan to do activities with the kids separately. So for example, one of you might enjoy some outdoor things, the other one might enjoy some indoor things, or some activities, separating up and taking the kids to each of their different special holiday gatherings for their activities. So if you can make it all about the kids and take it away from focusing on each of you with your conflict, that can be a great gift for your kids.
Well, and let's expand on that a little bit too, Stephanie, because just being together and having traditions and creating memories, that's often the thing that people will remember as they get older too. So let's talk about creating some lasting memories and traditions. What's a good way to focus on doing that?
If you're waiting for the holidays to pass before starting down the path of separation or divorce, you're certainly not alone in that. January, for our viewers, just so you know, it's known as Divorce Month, and there's a reason for that. It's when a lot of people decide to pull the plug on their relationship. If they're going down that path, they'll often wait until January and then start fresh, raising their kids in 2 homes starting in January or in the new year at least. So this holiday time may be the last time that the kids will experience this holiday season with the parents in one home under one roof. Next year they'll be creating new traditions, and we'll talk about that next year, at mom's house and then at dad's house separately. And this may come with some excitement, but also lead to some sadness with the loss of things that are familiar to them. So these memories that you create this year, just remember that they'll last a lifetime for the children. It may be their last time with their parents under the same roof. So give them as great traditions and memories as possible.
Well, and the last thing we're going to discuss today, Stephanie, is giving yourself some space, which could be the most important one on this list, because if you aren't in a good space yourself, it's really hard to help others and the rest of your family. So let's talk about that, about giving yourself some space and the importance of that.
Yeah, absolutely, Stacey. So being in the midst of a high conflict household, of course, can be very stressful. It's easier said than done to put a smile on your face and to put up with that stress, knowing that there's a lot of conflict, knowing that possibly a separation is looming, but you're biding your time until after the holidays. So in the first 2 steps, I suggest biting your tongue per se for the sake of your kids and holding on to certain traditions and to ensure they have the most special holiday period they can. But this tip number 3 is really more about being true to yourself and really what's happening with your life. Everyone needs space, and it's really important that each of the parents take time away from the family, really to release your stress in a positive way. This may mean scheduling time with the family, but also time away from the family. So let's think about some things you might want to do. You might want to go Christmas shopping on your own. No kids, no spouse, no anyone with you. Just go browse around, go shopping, window shopping or actual holiday shopping. You might want to take in a holiday movie. You might want to read a book at your local coffee shop, taking your favorite holiday drink, or maybe even taking a fitness class. So time away from the family and particularly your kids might be a way to help to show that healthy and resilient side of you.
All right, Stephanie. Well, some really good information and so much happening over the holidays already. It's nice to kind of have a plan in place and things that you can think about heading into Christmas this year. So thanks so much for joining us, and we
Yeah.
will continue this topic next week.
Thanks, Stacy.
Got one final story before we're all wrapped up today. Pretty interesting one. A low-budget horror movie made in Edmonton has made an international list, along with Oppenheimer and Barbie. Skinamarink ranked 15th on the Rolling Stone's 20 Best Movies of 2023 list. Director Kyle Edward Ball's movie is about a pair of siblings who realize their dad and all of their home's doors and windows have disappeared. The film budget was $15,000, and to give you some context, Barbie's production was a reported $151 million, while Oppenheimer's was $100 million.
I think that's incredible, not just for Edmonton, but for Canada and for Alberta as a whole. I think that's fantastic that they're being ranked up against two of the biggest seen movies this year.
I agree. That is all the time that we have today, though. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great night.